You're hungry, cold, and holding a blade sharp enough to save your life, but it was made from stone that came from hundreds of miles away. That does not mean ancient people had shops. It means survival could travel farther than any one person. A broken spear, an empty stomach, a stranger at the edge of camp. Before money, trade was not comfortable business. Trade was risk with the human face. By the end of this story, you will understand how people exchanged food, tools, shells, stone, favors, promises, and trust before coins ever existed. And the big twist is this. The first economy was not just barter. It was memory. The world is cold, smoky, and loud with insects. A small group sits near a fire, roughly 10,000 years ago, while stone flakes, dried meat, shells, hides, and bone tools lie between them. Nobody has a wallet, but everyone is counting, not with numbers, with relationships. Survival was not owned. Survival was shared. Researchers discovered that prehistoric objects often moved far beyond the places where they were made. At first, they thought this meant ancient people simply walked to a source, gathered what they needed, and carried it home. Then they realized the distances were sometimes too extreme for that simple story. At the Zhukov site in the Siberian Arctic, archaeologists found obsidian tools chemically traced to sources about 1,500 kilometers away. That does not prove a single merchant carried them the whole way. It suggests a chain of exchange, hand to hand, group to group, across a frozen world. A sharp black stone could pass through camps, languages, dangers, and winters. And every time it moved, someone had to decide, can I trust these people? But stone was only the beginning. Archaeologists found marine shells deep inland, far from any shore. At first, they thought these shells were just decoration. Pretty things. Small things. Then they realized decoration can be power. In Neolithic Europe, Spondylus shell ornaments moved from Mediterranean or Aegean sources far into inland communities, becoming one of the classic examples of long-distance exchange before metal money. A shell bracelet on someone's arm was not just jewelry. It was proof of contact, proof of travel, proof that your group was connected to people you might never see. In a dangerous world, beauty could be a map, and sometimes a map could keep you alive. Then came the harder question. How did anyone know the trade was fair? Researchers discovered that many small-scale societies did not rely only on instant swaps. At first, outsiders imagined a simple barter scene. You give me meat, I give you a tool. Done. Then anthropologists realized that many exchanges were delayed, social, and wrapped in obligation. Bronislaw Malinowski's 1922 study of the Kula exchange in the Trobriand Islands showed ceremonial valuables moving through long-term exchange partnerships across an island ring, not as ordinary cash, but as objects tied to status, trust, and social bonds. Marcel Mauss later argued that gifts often carry obligations to give, receive, and return. So before money, a gift was rarely free. It could be a rope tying two families together, and ropes can rescue or trap. Archaeologists also found evidence that practical materials moved through early networks. At first, they thought trade must have been mostly luxury, shells, beads, rare stones. Then they realized ordinary survival items could be part of the story too. Flint, obsidian, ochre, salt, hides, baskets, tools, food, and information all mattered. A group with extra fish might need stone. A group near stone might need dried meat. A group with good hunting knowledge might trade a story, a route, or a warning. The evidence is rarely as clear as a written contract, because these people left no invoices behind. But the pattern of distant materials and archaeological sites shows that exchange networks existed long before coinage. And the most valuable thing moving through those networks may not have been an object at all. It may have been peace, because meeting strangers was dangerous. Researchers discovered weapons, defensive sites, healed injuries, and trauma in many ancient contexts, reminding us that prehistoric life could involve conflict as well as cooperation. At first, it is easy to imagine trade as friendly, two camps smiling beside a fire. Then you realize every exchange began with uncertainty. Are they hungry? Are they armed? Are they desperate? A trade meeting could turn into an alliance, or a robbery, or a feud. That is why exchange often needed rituals, repeated partners, shared customs, and visible gifts. The object was only part of the trade. The real deal was this: we meet without killing each other. We remember what happened. We come back again. Imagine walking for days with a bundle of stone blades wrapped in hide. Imagine walking for days with a bundle of stone blades wrapped in hide. Imagine arriving at a camp where no one speaks exactly like you. Imagine placing a gift on the ground and hoping the hands reaching toward it are peaceful. Would you trade with strangers if your family's winter depended on it? Then, in the darkness of that question, something deeply human appears: cooperation. Ancient exchange was not just greed before money, it was a survival technology. It let people spread risk. It let coastal foods reach inland groups. It let rare stone reach hunters who needed sharper tools. It let marriage partners, stories, songs, warnings, and ideas travel between communities. Honestly, I think this is what makes the story so human. Before coins, people still understood value, but value did not always look like price. Sometimes it looked like a shell from a distant sea. Sometimes it looked like a blade from a mountain no one in your camp had ever seen. Sometimes it looked like remembering that one family helped yours during hunger. Your brain still knows this. You still feel the weight of a favor. You still remember who shared food, who kept a promise, and who disappeared when things became hard. Your body still understands that survival is not only about what you own, it is about who will answer when you call. We cannot know every detail of what happened, but the science underneath is solid. Long before money, humans were already building invisible bridges across rivers, across forests, across ice, across fear. Before money, people traded more than things. They traded trust,